All right, let's get started. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes,
Yes.
I can do that. Eaton Tarbell
Here, present.
and Brent Todd,
Here.
David Fox,
Here.
and Jeffrey Santa Cruz.
Here.
Amanda Savage.
Here.
Teresa Rosenberger. Matthew Hicks.
Here.
And our esteemed chair, Richard Woodman.
Here and present. Welcome to the table, Ethan Tarbell, a new member of the Planning Board, so he'll be weighing in on anything and everything. Welcome aboard. First item on the agenda tonight is approval of the April. It says on my sheet.
It says right here, July.
April meeting minutes. So the July Planning Board meetings. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. A quick agenda overview for anybody here on a couple of items. Item 6A, site plan for 161 North State Street will be continued to the September 17th meeting. And the item 9F, three-lot subdivision on 138 Snow Pond Road will be continued to the October 15th meeting. So I do need to get a review or a motion and approval from the board here to continue those. Would someone like to make a motion to continue item 6A to the September 17th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and roundly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 9F, would someone like to make a motion to continue that until the October 15th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Design review applications by consent. I gotta back up for a second. Hold on a second. Okay, design applications by consent. We're gonna remove items 5E, 5H, and that's it. We'll take those two off of the consent agenda. We'll hear a little bit of public testimony on those. Do I need to do this now? Motion to second for 5A.
Yeah,
D,
because
F,
that's
G,
the rest of the consent items.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion
If any member of the public wants to.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong sheets here. I gotta look at my regular sheet and do it the right way. Okay, so again, with those items 5E and 5H, the items on the agenda, all the other items on the agenda, we take items by consent. The board's looked at them, weighed in any issues, and brought them up for pulling things out. Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about any of those items in 5A through 5J? If not, would someone like to make a motion to approve those items as submitted with architectural design review recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Let's open up the agenda for, whoops, nope, not quite there yet, sorry. Gotta stop looking at this sheet. Okay, so determination of completeness is not on here. It's pulled off, right? 6A?
Yep.
And extensions by consent, item 7A. TF Moran, can we read that into the record? Sorry.
Oh, yes. When I get there. TF Moran and Concord Commitment LLC request a time extension to May and June 2023 major site plan, architectural design review, and conditional use permit approvals, extending conditional approval from September 1, 2025 to September 1, 2026 for phase 1 of a 45,000 square foot charitable gaming facility at 7 Breakaday Drive in the Gateway Performance District.
Okay, I did get some public testimony from members of the public requesting that this be pulled from the consent agenda and had a public hearing about it. There's no precedent to do that. The issues that were brought up in the letters that I got basically were legal issues. Those have been resolved at the legal level, and we've got no grounds really to pull and deny an extension. So I'm going to not have a public hearing on it because there's nothing to talk about from the public. Look for any public comment or look for any comments from the board. If not, I'll take a motion to grant that extension under 7A for TF Moran and Concord Commitment LLC. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? For the record, no opposed. All right, we'll move out of our consent agenda and into the public hearings, design review applications. If we could, actually, we need to do
5E.
Yep, we need to do 5E.
5E and 5H. Let's read 5E into the record. I pushed
5H.
past that, sorry.
Yeah, 5H, no, it's okay. 5H we will do with,
5H
we're gonna do with 9B.
combine at the,
Yeah.
at 9B. Yep.
So-
All right, so 5E, if we could read that into the record. Is the applicant here?
The applicant really doesn't need to be
Okay,
here.
that's fine.
And
Just checking.
Mr. Bass will let us know why here as soon as I read it.
Okay.
The sign gallery on behalf of the New Hampshire Department of Education and the New Hampshire Department of Administrative Services.
Yeah,
Requests
sorry.
architectural design review approval for a 54.58 square foot externally illuminated wall sign to replace an existing wall sign, a 26.61 square foot non-illuminated panel to replace an existing panel, and a 184 square foot internally illuminated panel to replace existing sign panels at 25 Hall Street in the Gateway Performance District. After much back and forth, turns out this is a government sign. As a government sign under our ordinance, it is exempt from all permitting requirements. And as a government sign under state statute, it is exempt from everything else. So.
So the reason it was
You're welcome
pulled,
to provide comment,
the reason it was pulled is
but-
architectural design review had some comments about it, so we'll recognize that architectural design had comments on it, but we're really not gonna be able to make any changes to it, so.
Right.
With that, I don't think there's any public testimony, if anybody would like to speak to it. If not, we'll close the public hearing, and we will look for a motion to approve item 5E as submitted.
You don't need to make a
Whoop.
motion to
Yeah.
approve.
And
And that was the main
approve,
reason
can't
we
deny.
pulled it from consent.
Can't
is that
approve it.
we don't want to take action, we just want to
Perfect.
take any feedback.
Yeah.
Perfect. And for the record, 5H is going to be heard with item 9B later on in our ongoing agenda. So that brings us now to the public hearing section, correct?
It does indeed.
All right, let's read item
9A.
9A into the record.
All right.
Scratch off 9F. So we'll do that.
9A, North Point Engineering LLC, on behalf of Mark
ahead.
Boucher, requests approval for a major subdivision application and certain waivers from subdivision regulations for a 6-lot subdivision at tax map lot 15P 26/1, unaddressed Elm Street in the medium density residential district and open space residential district.
Okay, is the applicant here? Come on up. While you're doing that, you could sign in, and we do have on this a motion, a determination of completeness, and to grant the waiver from section 1008 to declare it is a development of regional impact and open the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to determine the application, that staff has found the application complete, and grant the waiver for 10.06 to declare it is a development of regional impact and open the public hearing?
So move.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, let's get a quick staff update on this one if we could.
Sure. So you'll see that staff is recommending this application be continued to the October Planning Board meeting. That is largely because we feel as though there is 10 acres of property remaining, kind of being left on the table, that should be considered for, contemplated for future development. And the proposal as it stands with the cul-de-sac would greatly inhibit that ability to develop that remaining parcel to its fullest. So staff's recommending the planning board exercise their right to, show future extension and demonstrate how this lot could be maximized for development in the future, and continue to the October meeting to allow the applicant time to demonstrate that. There's also conversation about, the applicant consider looking into a conservation easement for the Hardy Brook area of the property, and, a few other things to hash out. It is your prerogative to review the application, make that determination. But as it stands, you wouldn't be able to take the cul-de-sac and, turn that into future development without, adding another street. We have an opportunity to keep a single, the applicant's proposing a public street, design that so that it could be a temporary turnaround hammerhead. That street could be developed further into the remaining lot in the future, and that wouldn't be feasible with the cul-de-sac proposed.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to guess that you either don't agree or you have some comments and questions regarding the application. So if you could state your names for the record.
Trying to get this to, sorry, my name is Jeff Lewis from North Point Engineering. For the record, I'm also a member of the Conservation Commission here in Concord. Although I'm not here in that capacity today, I'm here in my professional capacity representing the property owner and developer.
And I'm Tom Zarico from Zengo. I'm the proposed developer of this project.
Okay, so you heard our staff report, and we've all read the information that's in the packet, and obviously the roundabout and the way it's designed is the question that staff's asking, and what could be done to open it up or change it to a hammerhead.
Right. Just trying to open up a PDF, but it's not letting me do it. So maybe we can pull up can you pull up the plans?
The ones that you showed me today, Jeff?
Yeah.
Google data.
Where was it? Not sure I'm doing wrong.
All right, I'll try to troubleshoot this.
So yeah, I'll try to give a overview of the project. We would like some input, I think, from the planning board on that issue. We're happy to come back if that's what makes sense. We would certainly like the opportunity to meet with staff after this meeting. We prefer to have the meeting continue to September if that's the purview of the board. And if we needed to, that did not give staff enough time, we'd be happy to request a continuance ahead of next month's meeting to push it to October. But the cul-de-sac is the issue here. This property has been before the board multiple times in the past 5 or 6 years. It is split zone property. It's the developable property is located in the RM zoning district. And about 5 or 6 years ago, Mr. Boucher was before this planning board carving off one lot. He carved off one frontage lot on Elm Street, a subdivision lot for single-family residents. That house has been built since that time. He was back before the board in 2022 to carve off 3 additional single-family lots. That project was approved by this board in 2022. It's still in the conditional approval status. The conditions have yet to be met. 2 years ago, the board granted an extension of that approval, so it's valid for another year until, I think, June of 2026. So this was just a quick GIS map to show what this parcel is. This is the subject parcel. It's about 3/4 of a mile from downtown Pennacook, Village Street right here, right on the north side of Elm Street. We are right on the municipal boundary with the town of Bosquen, hence the regional impact. The existing condition I highlighted here, which, how do we zoom out of that? So that's the parcel. You can see the town line right here. There's a small sliver that's in Bosquen, but this is a 13-acre overall parcel. About 12.75 acres is in Concord. This is the zone line right here. We have RM to the right of that, RO to the left, to the west. The RO is really there because it's mostly unbuildable land to the west side of the parcel. We do have that Hardy Brook and a wetland, and it's kind of a pond on the property right there. There is a 50-foot wetland buffer around that. There's some steep slopes, embankment on the east side of that. There's some wetland pockets on the other side and some more steep slopes over here. So it's really not much buildable area over there at all. However, this whole side of the site is very buildable. It's flat. It is mostly a meadow right now. It's well-drained soil. It's got great frontage with driveway site distance on Elm Street. And you can see right here, here's the house that was carved off 5 or 6 years ago. That house was just built within the last few years. And these are the 3 lots that are approved right now by the planning board with conditions yet to be fulfilled. Mr. Boucher is a property owner, had that project approved. It requires extension of water and sewer mains, which currently end in front of the existing house. So for these lots to be built, it would require the water and sewer mains to be extended for the length of those 3 lots. But this plan was approved by the board. It is still valid for another year. I'm just going to zoom to this one because it shows them a little bit better. But this would have 4 driveway entrances on Elm Street, 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th one for the remaining lot. So there were no conditions in 2022 or 2024 when this was brought before the board. There was no plan of future development proposed. On this parcel, it was simply a 3-lot frontage lots with unknown future development or potential for the remaining parcel. So since that time, Mr. Boucher has not proceeded with these lots. Instead, he has Tom, who's here now, who has a purchase and sale agreement to purchase the 3 acres that are over in the side of the parcel. So really, that's what we're talking about. That's what Tom is here for tonight. He's proposing the subdivision with the cul-de-sac on this lot. The other half would remain with Mr. Boucher, whose intent really is to put just a single-family house out there. So that's what we're here for. This is the layout of the cul-de-sac. So it's a very straightforward plan in terms of the cul-de-sac. We'd be taking away the 3 frontage lots and the 3 driveways and consolidating those into 1 curb cut on Elm Street for 5 new lots. They all meet zoning. We're not looking for any waivers or zoning variances in terms of the lots. We had originally submitted this based on initial discussions with staff with a 50-foot right-of-way extension out here in case there was ever, some future development out here, even though that's not the plan. And certainly the intent would be for the house, if a house gets built out here, for it to access the municipal water and sewer, which would be extended to the cul-de-sac. Right now, Tom is preparing, or these plans include water and sewer main extensions in Elm Street and then up to the end of the cul-de-sac with stubs out to this future right-of-way or utility easement, which could easily be extended to a house out in the back parcel here. The current plan that we've submitted is this plan. It would have these 5 lots and it have a separate driveway entrance off of Elm Street for this future house out here. We ran into a little bit of a hurdle during the staff review in that in order for this right-of-way to be here, we would need to have this temporary turnaround rather than a permanent cul-de-sac, which is really not what we're trying to build. We're trying to build 5 lots out here on a cul-de-sac. We don't envision this to be any type of temporary situation at all. We don't want to have a temporary hammerhead turnaround that then gets built with a house next to it, and we're stuck with this permanent hammerhead. It's not desirable for anybody. We don't think that that's good planning at all. That the intent here is to build 5 lots off of a cul-de-sac. So we do disagree with staff. We think that this is proper planning. We're consolidating. Right now, the planning board has approved 5 driveways on Elm Street. This could go back to the other plan and have 3 frontage lots with a cul-de-sac coming off of here, and we'd have 5 driveways. We're consolidating 3 driveways and putting in a cul-de-sac and asking for another driveway off here, which has already been approved. So we'd end up with 3 driveways instead of 5. So I do think that, given the history of this development and how it's played out and the fact that there are utility extensions needed to develop this property, that this is proper planning. So we want to move forward with this plan as proposed. We're happy to go back and talk with staff since this staff report just came out last week and we had a chance to do that, to see if there may be some other waiver we could request. We could certainly request a waiver to allow a permanent cul-de-sac and a 50-foot right-of-way coming off of it. We just don't want to be in a situation where we build a hammerhead turnaround out there for something that we anticipate being a permanent, dead-end street. So I think that's kind of jumping right to that. I think I probably touched on most of the stuff I wanted to. Let me just go through here. We did have two other. We did have.
Two more sheets to go through, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I can just flip through those. I just wanted to. This is just a zoomed-in subdivision plan. I mentioned we have municipal water and sewer out there. We do have closed drainage in that road. It's a curbed road. Everything's being built to city standards. We do have a drainage plan. We have two retention basins, one out in the front here and one out in the back. Back here, we do have well-drained soil out there, so those would be open surface infiltration basins, really designed to take runoff from the short cul-de-sac and the lots. We have submitted plan and profiles and road control plans, street trees. There'll be street trees that comply with the subdivision regulations out here. We do have a list of waivers. I know staff, most of them are very minor. Staff is supporting most of those. Two that the staff is not supporting. One of them is HDPE pipes. I feel like I request this waiver of the planning board and I get denied all the time because the city allows HDPE storm drains on private properties, including on municipally owned private property, but not within municipal roadways, which as an engineer, I don't understand. So we request that. I think that will probably be denied. We did also request a waiver from the street light. The subdivision regulations are conflicting in the requirement for a street light at this proposed intersection. There's one section of the regulations that says that streetlights are only required if there's 8 or more units being proposed, which we are under. There's another section that says streetlights are required at every intersection. So I guess we're just looking for clarity on that. It sounds like staff is not supportive of that waiver, meaning that we would need a streetlight, which is totally fine. Those are just the waivers I wanted to mention.
While he's for the board's edification, when there is a conflict in the standards, the strictest applies. So the strictest is that the streetlight is required, hence the request for the waiver.
I think that covers most of everything I want to talk about. Obviously, that cul-de-sac is a big issue, so I'd like to have a dialogue and get some feedback from the planning board. As I mentioned at the beginning, we would certainly prefer that the meeting be continued to September rather than October, with the understanding that we may need to request a continuance to October.
Okay.
Jeff, how soon do you think you could get things turned back around?
Well, it depends what we're doing. Like, we don't want to do if we're just asking for additional waivers, we could do that right away,
Okay.
But if we need to fully comply with staff's recommendation and do a turnaround, then we would need to come back in October. We don't want to do that. So I'd like to get some feedback from the planning board and see what their thoughts are.
So let's get a little update from staff if we can, now that we've heard your presentation, and the turnaround was the big issue. The development of the other lot is kind of, highest and best use is what we like to look at. Is it the highest and best use? Could we do this? Could we do this? And seeing it and hearing what you're talking about, I'm wondering, where does our piece of it stop? And if you're gonna put an extension through there, you're only gonna put the other house lot, you're only gonna build the other house lot in the back, and because you can get the utilities and the water from the cul-de-sac, is that right? As opposed to going down and going into the lot from the front.
Yeah, I think right now the idea is to provide that as an option for sure. The alternative would be if this gets developed. I mean, given Tom doesn't control this lot over here, right?
Yeah.
So if the house is built in the back, then they could extend the water and sewer from our cul-de-sac. If they built the house in the front, they would have to extend the water and sewer further down Elm Street because we're not extending it all the way down there. So this is setting itself up for a house in the back of the parcel.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at you,
I'm sorry.
the screen when you pointed at. Which lot does the applicant not own?
The applicant here would not own the remaining big lot.
So we're only talking about the development of the lot that the person owns now. Okay. I'm struggling with
Well-
our piece of how we can dictate what the other space can be used for. If we, I mean, you might not even ever buy that other space on the other side.
There's no plan to buy that, right, so.
Yeah, the entire property is owned by Mark Boucher.
Right.
Yes.
So.
So he has purchase and sale
he
for
has
this
a-
side of it.
Right, for just this side of it.
Okay.
It's been my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, that he intends on building a house on Lot 6.
That's the plan.
So there is no plan for future development of
There-
that.
there's
No,
no-
I take that back. A house is development. So
Right.
the plan for future development is one house.
Right, by a different owner.
Correct.
So if this plan came to us with the roundabout in there and no easement up through the two lots, we wouldn't even be discussing it, would we?
The comments could still remain.
Yeah. Okay.
It would still hold.
Yeah.
I also want to state, it may be possible to develop a single-family home on the remaining Lot 1 with septic and well. You know, that's at a 60 scale. I don't know if they'll be required to connect to municipal water and sewer.
Yep.
So that might be something that, that may not even be a factor depending on where that house is and how it all lays out. Right now, there is nothing proposed on that lot.
Right. And I guess that's where I'm struggling is we're looking at a lot, we're looking at a purchase and sale for the five houses that are there. Why are we concerned about what might be developed later on? And I get it. I understand good planning is looking at the big picture and trying to put all the blocks together, and if we can do it, we can do it, but I don't want to not develop 5 houses or push the applicant back for the application because we want it to be fresh and freshened up to be able to be a little bit more accessible in the other lot.
That's
get it.
the prerogative of the board.
Certainly,
you know.
yeah, I get it.
And let me read exactly, because there is no requirement.
Right.
There is no requirement. I
Yeah.
want to emphasize that. It says, whenever a parcel of land is subdivided and where there is possibility that further subdivision may occur on the property, the planning board may require. Not
So
shall,
I
may.
missed a step here. So this current lot that we're carving off for this development is not currently subdivided? Or it already is subdivided? Is that a standalone?
No, it's not subdivided.
It's not subdivided. Okay, I get it then. Okay, I'm sorry. I had
Yeah,
a,
so the entire thing
Yeah, I
is
gotcha.
one
Yeah.
subdivision, a 6-lot subdivision,
Right.
with one lot
I gotcha,
being
yep.
a larger lot intended to be developed as a house.
I looked past that. I got you. Okay, thank you very much for the staff update. Anything else just before I get some feedback from the board? I'll come back to you, but Matt?
So one of my questions is if they were coming to subdivide this lot and not show any building on either parcel,
It wouldn't be a
we
problem.
would just subdivide the lot and move
Right.
on.
Yep. Would have been
Most
done.
likely.
We'd have been on to 9C by now.
If it was just a 2-lot
If it was
subdivision.
just a two-lot subdivision with no, you know, and
Right, and then they come back in a year afterwards and decide.
they
So-
decide they want to develop.
I can answer-
Much like what they did several years ago.
Right, with the
Yeah.
3 lots that they've already
Yeah.
got approval for, but it's part of the bigger 10-acre lot, right? Hang on.
So it seems to be somewhat a theoretical exercise to me.
It is, and I've worked on projects for jurisdictions that actually, they feel the jurisdiction, so the community and the city council has felt strongly enough about it that they have actually adopted in their ordinance and in their subdivision regulations that they require a shadow plat.
For future
Concord,
streets and
yeah,
future
it's
development.
required.
Right.
So the applicant has to submit shadow plat as part of their approval. We do not, Concord does not have that requirement.
Yeah,
And to add on, Matt, so the section 20.21 allows the planning board to require easements and contemplation for future development on the lot, but also adjacent properties. So in your 2-lot subdivision, when they come through to show something, that section could still apply to adjacent properties as well.
Correct.
okay. David?
Just a quick question. Why are we considering the potential future development and not reacting only to a 5-lot subdivision for our approval? And why, where does it say that we have to anticipate future development on an approval of a laid-out subdivision, I guess, is my...
It doesn't say that you have to. It says that you may.
We may. Okay.
Counselor Todd?
Yeah, thank you. I kind of agree with the sentiment that staff expressed regarding pond, and that it would be nice to be able to have that conserved in some fashion, but it strikes me that that's an arrangement that we'd need to make directly with Mr. Boucher at the time at which he comes forward with his plans for development of the remaining parcels should this subdivision go through. I think that there's a little bit more of a nexus there to me, and we would be able to have more say and control over what would happen there. So I'm kind of inclined to, I understand some of the staff's concerns, I appreciate their bringing forward, but I think this, I kind of view this as a separate project, I think, as Mr. Fox was saying here.
Okay. Dina?
Thank you. Would we need to be having a conversation about the density of the idea of bringing in 5 lots into an area where they're mostly just single-family homes? Is that a conversation that we would have?
We don't have density requirements.
Don't have
We just
density
have
requirements.
minimum lot size and minimum lot frontage requirements.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We can do that with ADUs as soon as we get to that on our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I kind of have a counterpoint to Councilor Todd. If they decide to build a single-family home, they just go to get a permit. They don't come back to us for a single-family home. So your idea of, well, we can put it on the owner later is not really applicable because they don't need to come back to us for a single-family home.
True.
For the conservation easement.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
you're correct.
So I don't want to predicate, oh, well, we can make that a condition of the owner in the later because that's not
Good point.
100% true
Good
if
point.
it strictly is single-family.
Yep, good point.
And I'm not recommending it, I'm just want to
Yeah,
point
no,
that
good
fact
point.
out for the board.
And, staff's just trying to think about, consideration for design of the entire lot currently. This configuration would, reduce the developability of the remaining lot. It would, could require, additional curb cuts on Elm Street, which is that collector roadway. So if you want to put the puzzle together now and then take pieces out of it, now's the time before approving this, because then you're locked in with this.
Correct. He's correct.
Mr. Chairman, good. So if they had never shown that,
Hang on. So what are the options on the hammerhead? The hammerhead wouldn't be in the middle. Would the hammerhead be all the way up at the top, at the very tip of the where the easement lines are showing there? If you put a hammerhead at the very top of that, up at the top of the line, and redevelop those lots, taking that little bit of space that you'd gain on the other sides, is that? I'm just thinking. I hate to have a hammerhead in the middle of this thing. And the only reason it's there is a turnaround, and you're still going to need a hammerhead somewhere, or you're going to need a turnaround somewhere.
No, I think ultimately that would be up to the applicant, the design engineer, to figure out, how to lay it out. But that's essentially how staff would foresee it. The cul-de-sac would be removed. You would just have a straight roadway, and at the end of the piece being purchased would be a temporary hammerhead turnaround that would facilitate future development.
And it would have to be such that there would be room for all the lots to be able to access off of that road to prevent the curb cut. It would require some finagling to prevent a curb cut for the lot that would be closest to Elm Street. It's easy enough to extend it and have it end in a hammerhead and then cluster your lots around that. But you still have the piece right next to Elm Street. So you'd almost have to extend it like this so that the parcel off Elm Street would be able to access. And then also remember that dead-end streets can't be any longer than 1,000 feet.
Right. And so the cul-de-sac is turnaround for emergency vehicles and whatever, snow, whatever there. If you're all the way to the end of the lot, you're more than 1,000 feet, I'm guessing?
No, I don't think that's
No.
a factor here.
Okay, so you could straight
I
run
haven't
it all the
measured
way.
it, so I don't know.
So you could straight run it all the way down, then the purpose of the hammerhead is?
It's a turnaround.
It's a turnaround.
It's either a turnaround or a cul-de-sac. You have to have one
or
of two.
the other.
And if it's extended without the cul-de-sac, cul-de-sac, it does change the entire configuration.
Sure, yeah, I imagine.
Because the lot frontages don't, your lot frontage on a cul-de-sac does not have to be as much
Yeah, as it is on the
as it is
straight
on
road.
just a straightaway.
So those
So it
probably
would be a
have
whole redesign.
at least one lot not conforming if you did it that way. Okay. Teresa.
I'm not sure whether the question is for Anne Marie or for you. The easement, if we've got two separate lots and you own one and Mr. Boucher owns the other, do you need that easement of running the utilities up to the Mr. Boucher's property? I mean, when I am envisioning or hearing this, it's almost as if, frankly, you guys are being nice guys to add that in there so that if he wants to build in the back, you've got access to the city services. Or if he wants to build in the front, he's going to have to go down Elm Street. So I'm just asking, I guess, I don't know whether I'm asking you or he, is the easement necessary other than being nice?
You want to answer that? It's,
I mean, that I'm sitting there going, why are you doing that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I realize nobody here knows me. We've always tried to do the right thing from a planning perspective and as a neighbor. And when the request was heard, we just immediately said, let's try to accommodate it. And, I don't get to decide what happens with the remainder parcel. I don't control that. But I wanted to leave as many options open. I mean, that's good planning and it's good neighborly. So that's the simple answer.
So the question would be that if we didn't have the easement, then there's no issues from the city as far as approval as it goes, right?
I don't think so.
Mr. Chairman.
No, it could all still be in play. That while we're talking about that easement, I want to point out initially that was proposed as future right-of-way, and staff pretty much said that's not conducive to the cul-de-sac. Though I want to bring up that we maintain that width. We could potentially have conversations if a future right-of-way doesn't go there. We could maybe reduce the width of that right-of-way if we're not going to be facilitating roadway construction. But
And just have the driveway come off of the main street.
well, the easement that's there isn't for access. It's a stormwater easement
utility.
for the city that goes out and around Lot 4
Yeah.
and the utility for public utility.
Okay. All right. Jeff?
I have a question of staff. If they had not shown that right away and just come in with the cul-de-sac, would we be in the same position most likely? Would we have actually given a lot of consideration? Or is the fact that they came forward with an easement what's put us here? Because I'm just wondering, this owner could access the utilities off, because aren't they supposed to extend the utilities all the way to the end of the property line anyways, which is not shown on this plan? It's only to the city street right now. So if they had to extend it all the way over, theoretically, the other owner could tap in to the city street and go right up the new driveway to wherever he's gonna build the house, and this whole easement wouldn't be needed for utility connection.
Yep.
I would say that's a hypothetical. It's hard to say. When the 2023 4-lot subdivision came in, where they proposed the 3 house lots in the remaining parcel, it was contemplated, but it wasn't discussed because it was those 3 house lots and the large, that was, we didn't have to really contemplate it at that point. This particular proposal impacts the remaining parcel, which is why it came up. Whether or not, if they didn't show the right-of-way line, would we be having a conversation? I can't answer that. And then extending the utilities to halfway through the property line, I don't recall seeing that. I know I know it can be a thing, but I don't remember coming across that. So we're not entertaining them extending the municipal utilities.
I thought that was the whole issue we just had on Shaker Road, that we didn't make them extend it all the way up to the end of their property. Thought that was a requirement, that properties have to extend all the way to the property line.
Jeff, I want to say it's to the middle of the lot, but I could be wrong.
I'm just trying to figure out, you know, if we have a way here. I mean, the whole thing is that if the easement was never shown, my guess is we wouldn't have considered, well, there's an impact on that other lot. We would have looked at it as a remainder lot and carving this out.
The answer, I'd have to look into it. There could be a factor. They are outside the urban growth boundary at this particular parcel. That may be why extending through the middle of the lot is not in play, where it may have been other sites.
I didn't know it had something to do with the Concord Boscoigne Water District too. That was the other thing.
Jeff wants to say something first.
I just want to, while you're talking about this particular issue, I think the answer to your question is, it would have come up, because it did come up. Like, Tom, before I was involved in this project, Tom went to staff to show him what he was thinking about when he knew he was purchasing this 3 acre, had a purchase and sale agreement to purchase this 3 acres. And the direction was about this, you know, a right-of-way, a future right-of-way. We got to look for that. After I got involved, we went back and another development team meeting with staff, and all these things were talked about. And it was very clear at that time that there's competing interests, even at the staff level, or competing thoughts on this as to what is the best way to do this. So we took all the input we could get, and we, as Tom mentioned, he's trying to please everybody here, including the owner, and to, in my opinion, to his own detriment. Too many cooks in the kitchen here. And this is what we came up with, and we don't know until we get a full review from staff that, you know, and everyone gets to weigh in, that this is where it landed. So it's falling on the planning board to make a decision. We're not requesting any waivers here. We're in compliance with the in terms of this, right? We're proposing something that meets the subdivision regulations. We're happy to request a waiver if it's something that's more palatable to everybody and gets us a permanent cul-de-sac. We just really feel like this temporary hammerhead is an inferior product. It will require a redesign of the road. It probably is going to require a variance to fit it in there. We won't have enough frontage for 5 lots. We have enough frontage for 4 lots if we do that, but we're relying on a cul-de-sac and the benefits that come with that for additional frontage. So I'm not sure where we would land on that. It would certainly be something that we'd be hard-pressed to get back to in October 4. Maybe we can do it. It probably have to be a renegotiation of the purchase and sale agreement. I'm not sure. But there's a reason that we ended up here. It's because we're trying to accommodate everything.
Just in response to Jeffrey's comment about extensions, 25.02 for subdivisions, and I'll emphasize this only applies to urban growth boundary, and this is outside of. For subdivisions within the urban growth boundary, municipal sanitary sewers shall be required to be extended on parcels of land which are within 1,500 feet of an existing municipal sanitary sewer main. Extension of municipal sanitary sewer main shall be required to the middle of the frontage of the subdivision of the furthest subdivided lot.
Well, furthest subdivided lot now really refers to the bigger lot on the left, not.
Correct, but this is not in the urban growth
Okay,
boundary.
thank you.
So it doesn't apply.
So,
So this is a different kind of an application. At least the issue is different than what we typically hear. When the 3 lots were approved, staff could have at that time had the same issue and chose not to.
Correct.
And this time you're choosing 2. Okay.
Teresa?
I would like to make a motion.
Well, we got a public testimony
Oh,
first, so
sorry.
not quite yet. I appreciate that, but
My needle point out.
David,
Just one real quick question. If the easement is eliminated, does that negatively impact the future development of that one large left-hand lot? Does it have any impact on the potential for one more house on the big lot? If the easement goes away? Is there any negative impact?
Might be an interesting question maybe for the applicant. I would say right now they're proposing an easement for drainage, which the city needs to make their stormwater work. So there needs to be the stormwater easement through that area, and they've also allowed it for public utilities. So in theory, they could extend the public utilities through that easement. How it impacts that lot, I don't know. They may not even utilize it. They may. It depends on how they want to develop and build.
Thank you.
Dina.
Tapping on to Mr. Fox's question, do we know if the larger lot has enough frontage so that they could just develop a driveway from Elm Street and not need the easement?
Sure.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's plenty of-
there's plenty of frontage, and there's plenty of room for separation
Could
distance.
subdivide that lot too, right? You could probably get 3 houses on that. Another lot. Saw your hand, Jeff, no?
Well, I guess where my thought is, it's a moot point because of the drainage easement that the city needs, because my other thought was, if you put the subdivision, the easement for utilities in between 5 and 6,
Brush it that way.
goes out to
Yeah.
the left and it doesn't affect, because your frontage of lot
Yeah.
6 and 5 can get shifted around the roundabout. So you got me saying it now too, instead of cul-de-sac.
Roundabout.
And no, it's not. Don't get me going. Then, so you could go left and then the utilities could go up the lot
Yep.
or down the
yep,
lot, depending on where they want to put it, but you'd still need to have the drainage easement, which could be much narrower to the upper lot, pond.
Yeah, it could be narrower now, it's just, we could do exactly what you're saying, I don't know what difference it makes, you know, you're talking about
Yeah.
which lots it comes
Six
goes
of
between.
6
Well-
of one, half dozen of another.
Well, right now, the whole point of the hammerhead is the city is expecting you to use that as the access point for the future lot 1.
Oh,
Hence
no,
why-
right now it's not, right now it's designed as just an easement, no access goes through that, so.
But I don't know why we're even contemplating
Yeah.
a hammerhead.
Yeah.
It should be cul-de-sac
Okay.
as shown.
Let's get some public, if there's any public testimony. Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? No? All right, so close the public hearing. Thank you for your testimony, appreciate that. We'll noodle through this a little bit more. Teresa?
You ready for
Oh,
me?
yeah. Do we
we
have
go?
any other further staff comments, questions, concerns?
Oh, go ahead.
You say?
No, Peter, I can talk to you about some comments I have on the plans after. They don't have to come up.
All right, hit me, Teresa. What do you got?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the proposals that came forward,
Okay,
what I'd like to do.
okay. We have any comments, questions,
I'll
concerns?
second first.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've got consensus, I guess, at that point, so we can go through the agenda items and you address the waivers and address them appropriately, but,
We haven't had discussion yet.
no, I got you.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. We
No.
just had a motion, a second.
No.
You're wanting to go through the agenda?
No, we can't motion and second it just from the approval perspective. We gotta go through the findings of fact, to grant the waivers, and then
That's what he meant.
deny the waiver request. That's what I meant, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
So-
we didn't have any discussion about
No,
any
no.
other issues.
Right,
You
and
kind
I'd like
of
to
have-
clarify,
no.
was your motion to approve the
No, no.
application as
No, no,
submitted,
sorry.
Teresa?
Yeah.
Because I think that, I would interpret that as the motion on the floor right now.
That is the
To
motion.
determine the application as submitted.
That is the motion.
Is that an
With no
acceptable motion?
conditions.
Well, with the
Complete or
conditions
submitted?
that, with the precedent and subsequent conditions.
Right, with the
Yeah.
precedent subsequent conditions, but nothing to do with the other lot.
Okay, so, okay.
I would go
So
back
I
to
go-
close the public hearing,
Yeah.
then adopt the findings of fact,
Yeah.
and then move to discuss the waivers.
Okay, so let's do that. So we've closed the public hearing, we've got findings of fact. We'll adopt our findings of fact, which include the information that we got in the staff reports, the applicant's submission materials, and the public discussion that we had regarding that. So on our packets, we've got 9.4 is to grant the waiver request below for the listed items in the subdivision regulations based on the evidence provided showing the criteria of RSA 674-36-2N and Section 3508 of the subdivision regulations are met. I'm not going to read all these. They're in your packet. All of staff is approving all of those. Our staff is recommending approval of all of those on 9.4 from A through K, correct? Would someone like to make a motion to grant the waiver request as outlined?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. 9.5 is to deny the waiver request below from the listed section of the subdivisions, and that's in deny A, which is the section 2302 construction standards. Is that the only one we're denying?
And B for the
And
street
B
light.
is the street light. Any discussion regarding the street light?
No.
Jeff?
So I have a comment. A few years ago, I was recommending a streetlight as part of an intersection, and I was told only city council can vote to have a streetlight. So
streetlight a stop and go light or a streetlight?
Traffic signal
Light.
or
Street
just the
lighting.
light?
Light, not a traffic signal, a street
I
light.
don't think that's right.
You can go back to the minutes, because it was pushed very hard.
Jeff, I think you're correct. I think the council has to approve a street light. But I could be wrong.
So what our regulations say in the subdivision, I want to be clear on that, because this was another one that I thought was a big safety issue, and I was basically told, no, only the city council could do it.
Yep.
It was at a crosswalk where there was no light, and so I'm just kind of want to understand which comes first, chicken or the egg here.
Okay. Council Todd?
I don't know that, I don't know specifically what the requirement is. My understanding is that if someone wanted to have a streetlight moved or removed, that city council could take that up. I'm not sure about the process of putting a streetlight in, frankly.
So you proposing to take that out of the denial?
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to understand
No.
the process here.
Yep.
So if I'm voting one way or the other, I'm not
I got you.
causing a problem.
I got
Which
you.
I probably am by asking, but I want to make sure, and I want to be consistent.
Where do we go on that?
Is the street light installed in the public right-of-way?
Yes, it will be,
So city council has to accept it,
it will, yeah, 'cause
much
we have
like
this,
they have to accept the street and the sewer and the
cut.
water. So, and that's standard.
So we could still make it a thing, like, yes, we want it,
Yeah,
and
I don't
ultimately they have to
think that
accept or
it's-
deny it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Take it out of the denials and,
No, I mean, if
So,
staff feels they should have it.
Yeah.
And so they're saying deny the waiver to not put
yeah,
it.
to not put it
It's
in.
a Cobra head on the existing utility pole that's right next to the driveway. It's not like we have to
Safety.
install the new pole, we don't have to do any of that.
Okay,
I would say we
So deny
agree
it.
that deny.
Is there a difference if you're installing a street light without a subdivision versus being part and parcel of the subdivision going in? Is that perhaps the,
There very well could be, and that could be what it is. If someone just, wants a street light,
put in because
seems
of,
screwy to
then that
kick this to
probably
city council
requires city
just for a
council
street light?
approval.
Right.
And this is different than that. So you're correct. I believe you're correct.
We'll go with that then.
okay, so any further discussion on denial of that? You can put the street light in, just for everybody's clarity, right? Okay, so, would someone like to make a motion to, 9.5 is to deny the waiver requests that are outlined in section 2302 and section 21.16? Would someone like to make a motion to deny that waiver?
So moved.
And I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. 9.6, Teresa.
What?
This is, just listen up, I'm gonna give you the
I'm
chance to make the motion, all right?
I'm listening. I'm just gonna say. do that.
9.6 is to grant the major subdivision approval for a 6-lot subdivision of unaddressed Elm Street identified at tax map Lot 15P 26-1, subject to the following precedent and subsequent conditions, and those are outlined in precedent conditions 1, A through H, A through, G, H, 2, A through M, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and subsequent conditions 1 through 22. Would someone like to make a motion, Teresa, to
Yes, I would,
grant
please.
major subdivision approval? We got a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Jeff?
So, looking through the plans, I still see things that weren't necessarily addressed in staff's review.
Okay,
That, and Peter, maybe I missed it if you had a separate memo, but the profile doesn't show proposed grades. It shows existing. The utility, the drainage line they want to install parallel from CB5 to drainage manhole 4 across fronted property along 130, or across along Elm, is within about a foot of the utility pole. I don't even know how that would be installed. The drain line on the back that goes to the pond is kind of skewed. It doesn't run up the middle of the easement, and it's only like 3 feet off the property line, so I'm curious, A, it might be able to be installed now, but once the property's subdivided, if the city ever had to go back and do work on it, 3 feet might not be enough to ever do any work on it. From the grading plans, it looks like the center of the cul-de-sac drops into a big hole. And there's a transformer down in there. So I'm just kind of curious of the grading. The trees are planted underneath the power lines on Elm. Sorry, just trying to flip through. And the typical section they put in here shows a sidewalk, but there's no sidewalk shown here.
Why didn't you bring all these up when we were?
It's one of their waivers.
Because we went to a motion so quick, I had no chance to bring them up. That's why I was like,
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sidewalks is one of their waivers.
Did I? Okay, I must have missed that. We went through that so fast.
And
that-
I know they requested a waiver for ornamental trees because of the power line.
Right, but they show them on the plan.
The trees proposed under the utility lines are ornamental trees that our construction standards show are adequate below utility poles due to their mature height, is my opinion.
Well, I guess that I would say definitely those utility issues should be part of precedent conditions to review those and make sure,
So you want to add that in as a precedent condition?
yes, that the drain line, those two bit looked at, and,
So 8 will include,
I have the street profiles show proposed and existing grades.
yeah, it shows just the existing.
Right.
It looks like it shows proposed, but when you look at it, it's the same elevation, only to a 10th instead of a 100th.
Your first catch basin comment about the proximity to the utility pole, I just want a little bit more clarifying information, so the condition is clear.
That engineering must review and approve the offset to the utility pole, because that's gonna be in the city right away. Ultimately, we're gonna have to maintain it, so if we go back and now have to have a pole held,
Is this CB5?
yes, I believe it is the one to the east side of the driveway. And then at the back of the lot where the drain line goes up through the easement, that manhole should be kind of pulled more into the main easement so that the drain line isn't so close to the property line. Just, I'm thinking about future maintenance considerations here.
okay, can those all be put under precedent condition 8, Alec?
We're gonna go 8. We're gonna treat each one of them separately because they're all separate comments.
9 to 10.
And I'm just trying to catch up with some verbiage. Sorry.
Should we hang tight?
Yes,
For verbiage,
please.
yes, okay. Teresa, you heard the comments. Does that change your motion to approve this?
Does it change it?
Does it, you made the motion, I just want to give you the chance to back out of that.
Fix this.
No, I
Okay,
don't want to.
and we had a second from somebody?
I did.
Okay, no change, okay. We're up to date on that. We'll get the verbiage updates from Alec on 8, 9, and 10.
And the last one was the, look at the elevations of the cul-de-sac, because it looks from the cross-sections like it drops into a hole in the middle.
Depression in the middle of all this.
Drain manhole 3, I think if it was adjusted, that could fix the layout of the utility, or the stormwater lines.
Drain manhole 3, apologies, I just switched on the plan. If that's the one all the way back at the very top, yeah, if that one could be scooted west, to give more space to between the property line of lot 4 and that drain line.
We'll play the Jeopardy song.
Yeah, sorry, I'm almost there.
Except we need more than 30
The grading plans. I've got street profiles shall show the proposed and existing grades. The catch basin lateral from CB5 shall be relocated in such a manner to allow for both construction and future maintenance without impacting the adjacent utility pole. Drain manhole 3 shall be adjusted so that the stormwater laterals provide necessary space for construction and future maintenance without impacting abutting property lines.
Yep.
And I have the wordsmith, your cul-de-sac is low with the transformer in the middle.
Applicants should look at regrading to push the water, I would think, out instead of in.
The cul-de-sac should be regraded.
And those comments, Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a thumbs up.
Do you want to specify that the cul-de-sac is higher than the curb line, or do we want to state
I
that it
will
should
leave
be
that up to-
regraded
I
so
would
it
just
doesn't
regrade
impact
to the satisfaction of
transformer?
engineering,
Yeah.
leave it at that. I don't want to go too much
Yeah, I
further
don't
than
want
that.
to be so
There's
specific.
wiggle room
Yeah.
for staff to deal with that in case there's a reason.
Including so as to not adversely.
All right, let's go.
Sorry.
We gotta roll here.
I understand. Usually I have more time for this. What was your typical street section comment, Jeff?
Nope,
Is
that
that you?
went away because they asked for a waiver for sidewalks, which I, in our expediency, missed.
All right, I have precedent condition 8, street profiles shall show proposed and existing grades. 9, the catch basin lateral from CB 5 shall be relocated in such a manner to allow for both construction and future maintenance without impacting the adjacent utility pole. 10, drain manhole 3 shall be adjusted so that the stormwater laterals provide necessary space for construction and future maintenance without impacting abutting property lines. And 11, the cul-de-sac shall be regraded to the satisfaction of the city engineer, including so as to not adversely impact the proposed transformer pad.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Nothing else. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Right, let's move on. Item 9B, if we could read that into the record.
Spectrum Signs and Graphics, on behalf of Capital Region Healthcare Corporation, requests approval for a conditional use permit application to allow an additional freestanding sign pursuant to Section 2869C4 and Section 2894B conditional use permits at 250 Pleasant Street in the institutional district.
All right, let's get a staff update on this if we could.
Sure. So this has two components. It has an architectural design review component because they are signs being placed in the performance district, which is why it was pulled from consent and added here. It also has a conditional use permit application to allow for a second freestanding sign where there's more than one building on the lot. Both of these signs are going in an existing location, but as the nature of our ordinance, they're removing, they're bringing back, and that kind of re-trips all the thresholds.
Yep.
I think the applicant has a proposed revision, which I believe was satisfying one of the recommended conditions the ADR had, and then possibly taking one of their suggestions.
Correct.
All right, welcome to the table. If you could state your names for the record.
Absolutely. Nick Jarvis, Spectrum Signs.
Tim Paris, Concord Hospital.
So as stated, we're looking at a update for the wayfinding signage throughout Concord Hospital. What we're looking for is an in-kind replacement of all existing signage. We're not replacing poles, we're not replacing bases, we're simply replacing the sign structures themselves. The two signs we're speaking about this evening are 001 on this map, located at the corner of Langley and Pleasant, and 002, which is at the corner of Pleasant and going up this drive heading towards emergency services. So as noted, we've presented this to the Architectural Design Review Board. One sign was picked out, this particular sign right here. It had a white background. They asked us to take a consideration of a redesign here, which we did, and I just passed around. We removed that white background. We updated it to be an emergency panel because we want to make that bold and clear, especially for individuals that are trying to get through the campus for in case of emergency. So we appeased the request of the ADR. These signs, as I stated, are existing. They are internally illuminated, so one of the reasons why we went to the zoning board of adjustments was because internally illuminated signs are not allowed in this district. But as I noted, the existing signs are internally illuminated, so the variance board did approve that. One of the signs is slightly larger than what is allowed as well, but again, this is an in-kind replacement. We're not putting anything here larger than didn't already previously exist. So we did gain approval for that as well. So the two signs are pretty straightforward. We're just looking to update branding here. We're looking to have clear, effective wayfinding throughout the campus. And as you can see throughout all staff notes, I believe everybody agrees with what we're presenting here. It's clean, it's easy to read, and I hope we can gain your approval this evening.
Perfect. Questions from the board? Jeff?
I have one. So that right-hand lower right corner sign is sign D. So that's if you're coming along Pleasant Street, hospital's on your right. Langley Parkway goes left and right. Why are we only pointing Langley to the right? Yet on Pleasant Street, we tell people Pleasant goes both ways.
So that particular sign is a four-sided sign. I'm going to pull that up real quick for you. So as you can see, this is looking down Langley, and Pleasant's right here. This is one side. This is at that corner, another side. And this is looking directly up Langley. So if I go back to this proof,
Wait,
yes,
just
sir.
skip the other side of the sign, because you're also got a sign panel on the right-hand side, don't you, as you're coming along Pleasant?
Correct. And I do not have a photo in this mock-up, but I do have renderings of all four sides here. So side A parallel faces Pleasant Street. So as you're coming up, that would be, yep.
Right, so it's side
This-
D is the one I'm questioning.
Okay. So sign D, parallel and opposite to Langley. This would be that panel that you're speaking about, correct? So this shoots you right-hand turn directly up Langley, as well as,
But Langley also goes left. So that's why I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
Pleasant Street, we point both, why Langley not both?
So,
Because, well, hang on, because Langley is not the address for the hospital. So it's not like you're directing people, oh, the address is 12 Langley for the hospital.
sure, and Tim may speak to this, but I believe the intent here is when they're providing wayfinding guidance to the patients, they're gonna iterate, to travel up Langley Parkway. So we want to make that clear and evident when you're coming up to that turn. So I totally understand and respect that that road also goes left, but for the services that are offered on campus, they're all right. So that's why we're trying to guide those patients to the right, specifically for Concord Hospital practices and services.
Conceivably, you could have someone take a left at the lights thinking they're going down to the Concord Hospital
Yes, sir.
facility on the left.
Or you could also have any direction finding you're
But
giving
again,
them to say
we're
take a
talking
right.
wayfinding, we're not talking street signs, so.
This isn't a street sign. The way this is designed, it's wayfinding. The street
Wayfinding,
sign
that's what
is
I said.
actually the green sign,
Well,
right?
That's what I said, it's a wayfinding.
That's what I'm saying, right. So, what I'm saying though is if he's saying that the intent is if they're giving people directions to get to a certain part of the hospital, they're saying, turn on Langley.
Right.
Couldn't they also say just turn right on Langley? It's,
Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to say, just for consistency of the other, they don't say to get out, take a left on Pleasant. They just say, go, and there's Pleasant, left and right.
Point taken. Okay, other comments, questions, concerns? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? No? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. So, Alec, do you want us to handle these as two separate items, 5G first and then go back to 5H? Or
No, I think what we could do is we
or,
can,
sorry, 9B and 5H?
I can help us through some of the ADR design motion. Pretty much I've just taken the verbiage from architectural design review, and I think we can include it here. We do, if we haven't yet, we do need to determine the conditional use permit complete and not the development of regional impact.
Okay, we have not done that. Okay, so let's handle that. So staff has found it, we're on 9B now. Staff has found the application complete, not a development of regional impact. And would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete, not a development of regional impact?
so moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries, so we check that box. Anything else on 9B that we can wrap into 9H? There's no other issues on 9 or 5H.
No, I think we'll treat the ADR approval We'll adopt findings of fact, we'll grant architectural design review approval, and then we'll grant the conditions.
Okay, so we'll roll through that. So again, issues around findings of fact. Where am I going here? Okay, so we'll use our findings of fact information again that we heard the testimony from the applicant, the comments and questions that we took here, and the information that's in your packet as the as our findings of fact. We've got 9.2 is to grant conditional use permit approval to allow a second freestanding sign at tax map lot 734Z24, 250 Pleasant Street. Would someone like to make a motion to grant that conditional use permit as outlined? Wait, those have got precedent and subsequent conditions, and that's it, right, for that? Do you want to handle that as one? So handle the
CUP by itself.
The CUP by itself. So again, granting conditional use permit with precedent conditions A1, A and B, and 2, and subsequent condition 1. Would someone like to make a motion to grant that conditional use permit as outlined? The motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, help us get through 5H, Alec, on approving the sign.
Sure.
Approving it.
So I'll read the recommendation was from ADR was to grant architectural design review approval for the 30 square foot internally illuminated freestanding sign to replace an existing freestanding sign and an 84 square foot internally illuminated sign to replace an existing freestanding sign at 250 Pleasant Street in the institutional district, subject to the following conditions: that an opaque background be placed behind Langley Parkway panel on SPO 6/12/2025, and they had some suggestions. In this rendering they provided here tonight, I feel as though they've satisfied the recommended condition from ADR.
Okay.
The others were suggestions, so if you're satisfied with what was handed out during the public hearing tonight, you could just get architectural design review approval for the signs as I specified as submitted.
Okay, someone like to make a motion to approve those signs as submitted?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One opposed. Jeff's opposed. All right, that motion carries. You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, 9C, let's read that into the record.
IMEG, on behalf of Stickney Avenue LLC, requests approval for an amendment to an approved major site plan application to waive certain construction standards and details to allow for installation of monolithic concrete curb and sidewalk and Cape Cod berm, and to waive the site plan regulations tree spacing requirement for lofts 11 at 57911 and 13 Stickney Avenue.
Okay, let's get a quick staff update on this one if we could.
Yes, so there have been 3 requests for administrative approvals. 2 of those have been approved. The third one is in review right now. The third one was for an alternate pavement section. It did not require a waiver because because of they're following something from New Hampshire Department of Transportation. So I just wanted to let the board know that engineering staff is reviewing that, and that approval will be forthcoming. One of the administrative approval requests was for 2-inch bituminous sidewalk. The bituminous sidewalk was able to be approved administratively. The 2-inch is not, because our standards require 3 inches. So I just wanted to let the board know that that administrative approval was submitted or was approved with the condition that the 2 inches was not allowed, and that if they wanted that, they would have to request a waiver as part of this. They did not request that waiver, and they have let me know that they're going to revise the sheet to show it as 3 inches to prevent any confusion in the field with the contractor.
Okay, welcome to the table. If you could state your names for the record.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Tom Zajac. I'm a civil engineer with IMEG, formerly Hayner Swanson, 3 Congress Street in Nashua. With me here tonight is Chris Lewis from Brady Sullivan Properties, are the owner and developer of the property. As was outlined by staff and is written in the staff report, we're here really for 2 items tonight related to the Lofts 11 redevelopment project at 11 Stickney Ave. The first is related to alternative curbing products that we'd like to use on portions of the private parking lot. The second is a revised landscape plan, which is addresses comments from New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. Both of those requests involve waivers, thus why we're here tonight. As you folks know, any urban redevelopment project like this is complex, and a lot of times you find surprises once you're out there in construction. I think just saying that to speak to some of the changes, I thank Anne Marie and Pete and other staff for helping us with those various changes. We're here tonight again for those 2 specific reasons. Just a little bit of history. It took us over 2+ years. Site plan to be reviewed, got approval conditionally in March of '23. Involved a previous subdivision plan, a discontinuance plan of an old road through the site, and then it took us another 1.5 years to get to the final plans. And most of that involved, if you folks remember the original project, this big public drainage interceptors that run through the site under the building, and we worked closely with city staff to get those lined. Those were lined last fall to the cost of over $300,000. And those are old brick sewers that are over 100 years old. And so coming out of the box, we were looking for perhaps some ways to value engineer the site and reduce site costs where it was feasible, where it was practical, and that's why the number of requests came before staff and this board. Building construction has been ongoing since the fall. Units are coming along very nicely. Site construction started late spring, early summer, and again, we're here before you for really 2 specific reasons. Both those, the justification for the waivers, I got a fairly lengthy waiver letter. I'm not going to go through that. I'd be happy to answer any questions. That was included in your packet. On the curbing, we were looking at alternate materials. On the side and the rear of the site, there's over 3,100 feet of curbing with this site. Based on its unique shape, you can see from the existing building, the parking, about 50% of the curbing will remain granite curbing, as was approved. That's primarily in the front portion of the site, those areas that are most visible from not only Stickney Ave, but the highway. But in the rear and the side portions of the site, we're asking consideration to use both monolithic concrete curb and sidewalk. That would be where the curbing abuts the sidewalk. And then in areas where the curbing does not abut the sidewalk, in some of the landscape islands, we're requesting use of a Cape Cod berm or bituminous curb product. Again, the granite curb is going to remain in 50% of the site where most visible. And obviously there's cost considerations here. Granite curbing is more than 4 times expensive as the Cape Cod berm product, excuse me. Also, not only the pure cost of it, the availability of installers impacts the overall project schedule. We found certainly other examples around the city where this product is used. My testimony is it's fairly commonly used throughout the industry. I know engineering had comments about it being an inferior product and perhaps how it might break down quicker than other curbing types. Especially during plowing and winter maintenance. And I guess the counter to that would be we're not arguing that's not the case, but typically Cape Cod berm or other bituminous products are then replaced more frequently in terms of maintenance and other pieces. So we're trying to balance cost here with practicality as well as aesthetics. The second request was related to the landscape plan, so we submitted a scaled-back revised landscape plan that was prepared by Warren Street. When Brady Sullivan purchased the property from the state, one of the requirements was a historic preservation easement over the property, which required them to work with the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources on the development. NHDHR requested that we modify the approved landscape plan to scale things back. They felt the quote-unquote historic nature of the site included very sparse landscaping, and specifically did not want to break up the building facade of the H-shaped building or 11 Stickney with the number of plantings that we had on the original plan. So in trying to balance those competing interests, we prepared the plan that was submitted. We meet all of your site plan requirements for landscape plans with the exception of the spacing. And so that is the specific waiver that we are seeking here tonight. There was also, as Anne Marie mentioned, another waiver that was in there for parking. That is not before you here tonight. That's been pulled out and is part of an administrative request. So those are two items we're seeking approval here tonight, and be happy to answer any questions.
So I can appreciate the valued engineering aspect of it, with which is a great term, by the way. I'm going to remember that one. I repeatedly not approved Cape Cod berms for that reason. They need to be replaced. They get plowed up. They're easy to drive over. They're rounded. I'm not as unopposed to concrete as long as it's got that square top and it's got that ability. So just for the record, I really don't like the Cape Cod berms, and I know we've got them in the city, but they haven't come through. They haven't come through recently. So, questions from the board? Jeff.
I have one. I just want to understand. The landscape berm across the front, is that part of tonight or no? Okay.
Landscape berm, no. No, right?
Correct.
Right.
Just so I could follow along, is a Cape Cod berm that paved,
A humped
it's pavement.
pavement,
basically.
asphalt. It's an asphalt berm.
It runs all the way up and down
Got it.
the east side of Mountain Road.
Yeah.
Well, that was the city solution.
On the house.
not by developer.
They just put in brand new concrete, Cape Cod berm at the top of Mountain Road Hill. Just so you know.
Value engineered.
May save the city money.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience on this application? No? Anything else from the applicant? You good? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you very much for your testimony. So in your packets of info, again, using our findings of fact, the information that we've got in our packets, the request from the applicant, the testimony from the applicant, we'll use those as our findings of fact. We've got a couple items in the waiver piece. You screwed me up on the numbers here.
Oh, it's 9.2.
9 point, yeah, there's no findings of fact.
Findings of fact are 9.1.
Recommendations, yes, 9.1, okay. So 9.2 is to grant the waiver requests below for the listed sections of the site plan regulations, and those are outlined in section 1602.22, 18.19, and 18.20 to install sidewalk pavement thickness of 2 inches. We getting rid of that? Anne Marie?
Yeah, they don't need that.
Okay.
They've
So
withdrawn
we'll
that.
take one out of your packet, so we'll just make concrete number 1, concrete curving within the private parking lot, no asphalt curving approved. Is that, am I reading that right?
Yep.
Concrete, not granite.
Concrete, not granite.
Yeah, they're doing a monolithic sidewalk.
So 9,
So
sidewalk,
they
sorry.
asked
yeah,
for
sidewalk.
concrete and asphalt, and the engineering services division is just okay
Concrete's-
with concrete.
Concrete's good, okay. So grant, again, grant, 9.2 is to grant the waiver request below, and that was,
So it would
so it would
be
be
A2.
8.1, right?
Oh, A2, because I'll strike through.
A2, so
the-
strike through 1 for concrete, and section 2706 to allow trees to be planted further apart than 20 feet to 40 feet as depicted on the 9-sheet plan. Would someone like to make a motion to grant that waiver request as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Counselor Todd?
Just a note on that, I understand the reduction on the number of plantings, but there was a reference in there to, on their non-native species.
Oh, yes.
And so I just wanted to emphasize that
Native.
where possible, use the natives.
Use natives.
In other words, right in their amended which one is it? Yeah, the amended landscape plan. There's a listing there.
Yep.
And it does list non-natives.
Okay, so
yeah.
we want native species in that. You got that, Tom? Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to, we did that.
We did that.
We did
That was just my comment.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. 9.3, grant major site plan amendment approval for modification 1, 2, and 4 listed on the cover sheet and depicted on sheets 6, 7, and 17 in the landscape plans, except that no asphalt curbing is allowed. All is submitted for the public hearing on August 20th, subject to. So we're going to do 9.3 with precedent condition A1 and subsequent conditions 1 through 9. Would someone like to make a motion to grant major site plan amendment approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 9D, if we could read that into the record.
Richard D. Bartlett and Associates LLC, on behalf of Granite Center LLC, requests approval for a minor subdivision application and certain waivers from the subdivision regulations for a condo plat at tax map lot 6443Z15, addressed as 100 to 110 North Main Street in the Central Business Performance District. And I actually don't think that they have any waivers.
Shocking.
Absolutely.
Shocking. Let's get a quick staff update on this if we could.
Yes, by way of a staff update, this is
A condo plat.
it is. It's very straightforward. The building is existing. They're simply dividing it into 2 building condo units, not land units. They submitted everything that they needed.
And no waivers.
Yeah.
Can I pull it, Teresa, and go, I want to make a motion?
No waivers.
I was just getting.
First time in 45 years, no waivers.
Welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
I'm Steve Dupree. I'm the majority member of Granite Center.
Perfect. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, when we bought the building, we gave a couple of the larger tenants the right to purchase a condominium unit once we finished the new market tax compliance, which ended last week. And new futures exercise that option, so we're creating 2 units, but we've obviously set up the document so that eventually it will become a full condominium project, sort of like what we did at the Smile Building, where the Chamber owns their space in the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. That's it.
That's it? Any questions? Nope. Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Nope. Seeing none, we'll
I'm gonna keep this
close the
video.
public hearing. Yeah. Aren't you glad you came and waited all that time?
Yeah,
Okay.
delighted.
So let's get on to our staff recommendations. Again, using our findings of fact, the information that we heard, the information that's in your packet, the staff reports that we got, and that riveting testimony from the applicant. We'll use that as our findings of fact. Under 9.2 is to grant minor subdivision approval for the condominium conversion at 100 to 110 North Main Street, subject to the following conditions, and those are outlined in precedent condition A1 through G, A1, A through G, 2 through 5, and subsequent conditions B1. Would someone like to make a motion to grant that minor subdivision approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Okey doke. Moving on. Now we're cooking with gas.
Don't say it. Don't jinx it.
So many people are old enough to recognize that. Recognize that term, man, huh? All right, let's move on to item 9F on our agenda, if we could. We
9E,
pulled
utilities.
9E, yes. 9E, sorry. Skipped
Just
right
for
over.
the record, in case anyone ever wonders, these items are placed on the agenda in the exact order that
Yeah,
they're
we're not making
received.
people wait just
So-
because we're hoping you
So that
leave.
there's no discrimination or anything else involved. It's exactly in the order they're submitted.
That's it.
I thought because we were hoping Mark Sargent would be here, we pushed everything to the end of the
Yeah.
agenda.
But no such luck for that. All right, let's read 9E into the record.
Richard D. Bartlett and Associates LLC, Ryan Tabor, Eastern Development, and Liberty Utilities request approval for a conditional use permit application for disturbance to wetland buffers to install a driveway and utilities, and I see I left the I out, pursuant to section 2843D, conditional use permits required for certain disturbance of wetland buffers, and section 2894B, conditional use permits, and certain waivers from the site plan regulations at tax map lot 202Z21, unaddressed Schools Falls Road, in the single-family residential district and open space residential district.
Alrighty, let's get a quick staff update on this if we could.
Okay. This is a straightforward application. It's a conditional use permit to disturb the wetland buffer, to install a driveway and utilities for residential use. Conservation Commission reviewed it, had no comment on the conditional use permit request to disturb the buffer for driveway and utility installation, and recommended approval.
Okay, welcome to the table. If you could state your name for the record.
Ryan Tabor.
All right, anything you want to add to the? It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, questions from the board? Jeff?
I'm sorry, I have to ask, because I've asked this before. We're granting an approval of a square footage, and we have no grading info. So we're looking only at a plan view, so if this driveway gets built 3 feet higher and suddenly the slopes go out, what guarantee do we have that the applicant is actually gonna come back and get approval for additional?
Well, the request is for disturbance to the wetland buffer. It's not for an amount.
It's listed, the amount's listed on the plan, but it's not called out. The application's not specifically to
I
1,054.
specifically do not notice it for that very reason.
Okay, and that's, thank you for the clarification, because I was, if it's on the plan, I kinda had the assumption we were
Yep.
issuing per plan.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? Nope. Seeing some, we'll close the public hearing. Any other comments from staff? Nothing?
Nope.
Nope. All right, again, using our findings of fact as our information that we have in our packets, the, again, riveting testimony from the applicant and the questions that we got on it, we'll use as findings of fact. Based on that, we will roll through on the grant conditional approval, grant conditional use permit approval for disturbance of wetland buffer to install a driveway and utilities for the allowed residential use at tax map lot 202Z21. Would someone, with precedent conditions A, 1A, B, and C, 2, and subsequent conditions 1, 2, and 3. Would someone like to make a motion to grant that conditional use permit as outlined?
So moved.
We got a motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You are all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on.
Okay.
9F, if we could read that into, did we
9F
cancel 9F?
was
pulled.
continued to
Yep.
October 15th.
9G.
So that takes us to 9G.
Richard D. Bartlett again.
Richard D. Bartlett and Associates LLC and Seth J. Hippel request approval for a minor subdivision application and certain waivers from the subdivision regulations for a 2-lot subdivision at tax map lot 7414Z127, addressed as 45 Concord Street in the downtown residential district.
All right. 9G, we do have a determination of completeness component on this. Staff has found the application complete, not a development of regional impact, and recommends opening public hearing. Would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete, not a development of regional impact, and open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion has been made. I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Welcome to the table. Excuse me, hang tight for 1 sec. Let's get a quick staff update on this if we could.
Like the two preceding this also is a very straightforward application. The lot is existing. The 2 houses on the lot are existing and have been for quite some time, as noted in the staff report. The owner of the lot, Seth Hippel, lives in one of them. He wants to be able to sell the other and have that be on its own lot rather than a condo. So
Here we are.
Here we are. He received the necessary variances from the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and the conditions of approval address showing how the other house has individual water and sewer. So, again, pretty straightforward.
Great. Welcome to the table. If you could state your names for the record.
Dan Mullen from Richard Bartlett and Associates.
Seth Hipple.
All right, you want to add anything?
Anything to it?
I believe there was two things in the staff report. One was requesting that culverts be mapped.
No, I think you're talking about municipal utilities.
There was a request for waiver of that, correct?
Yes.
And then the other was something to do with a driveway easement.
Right, the staff has requested a agreement to convey an easement because the two lots are both fronting on Concord Street and Beaver Street, and there's a driveway there that's a gravel driveway, and they're going to share that section of it, but the lot line's going to cut through the middle of the driveway, and each side is 18 feet or better of the gravel that's going to serve each lot. I think the staff had requested an agreement to convey an easement for that and for a maintenance agreement between the two buildings and I think utilities.
Yeah, I think the maintenance easement has already been part of the plan, but I think the staff was requesting that there be an easement added for use of the driveway. Currently, one house uses the one side of the driveway, the other house uses the other side. You can access each property without going on the other side of the driveway. So I'm not sure if the concern has to do with, if people are, because the middle of the driveway is not marked, or what the concern is, but I don't know that that easement is necessary. I am hoping we can get a waiver for the marking utilities, just because I believe that's generally waived.
Well, first let me address the driveway. The issue with that, and perhaps you can explain it, each lot is required to have its own driveway, and driveways have to be 30 feet apart. And unfortunately, it's just one of the requirements of the subdivision regulations, that each lot have its own, have access. And the way it was presented, didn't meet that requirement. So it was presented as though there was one large driveway that was shared by both lots. And so the only way to make that legal and meet the subdivision regulation is to make that an easement for a shared driveway.
I don't think it's a major problem. I may have misread the report, but I had thought that the reason requested for the easement was so that both, I think it said something to the effect of that both houses have access to the main, to the street, which they both do without the easement.
Yeah.
With or without the easement, they both have access.
And you're correct, they do. They unfortunately, they just don't meet the fine print of the subdivision regulation without either that easement or having two individual driveways 30 feet apart.
They're not separated is why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to prevent, I assume, neighbor squabbles and things like that.
Yeah.
Plowing
Down the road,
issues, things like
yeah.
that, somebody plowing their side of the driveway and it puts a hump on the other side of the driveway. So the easement piece of it takes that equation. I mean, it makes it a little bit more easy to figure it out at the
I
end.
appreciate you explaining that to me, and I know when I talked to you, Anne Marie, I didn't ask that question, so sorry about that, but I appreciate you explaining that.
Not a
The current
problem.
plan does have markings for that. We're just going to have to dimension it and show it on there.
Okay.
And then I'll let Pete address,
Utilities?
yeah, the wanting to maintain the requirement for, inverts and,
Well, we don't know the existing utilities, where they are, and if the two houses share utilities or not.
They do not.
We need to have that documented. It was not on the plan. We need to have that shown. And if there is a shared utility, water or sewer, they need to be split.
There are no shared utilities.
Okay.
I'm
So,
not,
just so we're clear, so we're talking all the way to the street. There's a sewer line that goes from house A all the way to the street, and there's a sewer line that goes to house B all the way to the street.
that is,
Correct.
yeah,
That's what we need.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Water and sewer.
And the reason the city wants it is because, again, same thing with the driveway. If you've got separate water and sewer on one building, separate water and sewer on the other, but they come together in one in the middle of the driveway, that we can't do that. They need to be separated, so you've got a separate standalone unit side by side.
okay. I was surprised to see that, because I thought, marking where the utilities are, they're not marked now,
Right.
but they weren't marked whether or
And
not
again,
we do
somebody
this or
comes
not.
in-
But I understand now that you're saying the issue is, if you gotta turn off utilities, and now we're turning off utilities for two houses.
Two houses, because you're turning them off at the street, and you're turning off both houses, or the sewer backs up, or whatever, whatever issue, it needs to be house A's issue and not house B's issue.
So they just want to document where the two separate lines are for each
Yeah.
building. So if we know what it is, we'll just map it on the plan.
Understood, right? Okay. All right, any other questions from staff or comments from staff? Again, so that's why the denial of the waivers is in there on that piece. Okay, anything else? Any other questions, comments from the board? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns about this application? No? All right, so again, in our packet of info, we've got 9.2 is to grant the, using as findings of fact, the information that we heard here tonight, the testimony, the materials that we received in our packets and the documents that we reviewed as our findings of fact to make the decisions. We've got 9.2 is to grant the waiver request below from the listed sections of the subdivision regulations, and those are outlined in A, B, C, and D in your packet. Would someone like to make a motion to grant those waiver requests as outlined?
So moved.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Deny the waiver request below for the listed sections in the subdivision regulations, and those are outlined in A, B, and C. Would someone like to make a motion to deny the waiver requests as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And 9.4 is to grant minor subdivision approval for the two-lot subdivision of 45 Concord Street, subject to the following precedent and subsequent conditions, and those are outlined in precedent conditions 1A through G, and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and subsequent condition 1. Would someone like to make a motion to grant minor subdivision approval as outlined?
So moved.
Second.
Any motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, item 9H. That's been tabled, right?
The City of Concord requests a public hearing in accordance with RSA 67454 for a golf course parking lot and clubhouse at tax map lot 302Z81, addressed as 1 Beaver Meadow Street in the open space residential district.
I'd love to continue this.
Let's get a little staff update on this if we could.
Sure. You have the staff report. The applicant should have the staff report that went through.
Excuse me,
Yes?
did you skip over spectrum signs
Whoops.
after the hospital?
Did we?
Because they've been sitting there, back there.
No, that was,
It was
that was approved. 5H.
9B.
All of the fives go together.
We pulled
Mark
two.
Cuso and Turn 1 Graphics.
It was in.
That was approved.
That was part of the consent.
That was part of the
Part of
consent.
consent.
Okay, sorry.
That was part of the consent.
Really fast.
All right, sorry, guys. We'll do a better job explaining it next time.
an hour and 40
Oh,
minutes.
geez, sorry for that. Look at the fun they had.
That's what I told them.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay, did you finish, Anne Marie?
I did. Alec was giving
Alec
us.
was giving us a quick update on it, right?
The staff report's been prepared. It's been shared with the applicant, so they can go with that. As Anne Marie stated, this project is subject to RSA 67454, meaning that it is subject to a non-binding review by the planning board. You may provide non-binding comments relative to conformity and non-conformity of the proposal with normally applicable land use regulations. And so we
But there's no motions, there's nothing, none of the fun stuff?
There's
Still
no
get to listen
action
to
to be taken here. And everything, should be in the lens of the overall concept and design of the project with, for our regulations.
Okey doke, that's our staff update on that. Welcome to the table, if you guys could state your names for the record.
Doug Broder, civil engineer.
Doug Proctor, architect with the Turner Group.
Tell us a little bit about this project. Haven't heard anything about Beaver Meadow.
Really?
No, just brand new news to me.
So, we've been commissioned to design a new clubhouse for Beaver Meadow. It has gone through many iterations. It's ended up about a 6,000 square foot building in a new location adjacent to the existing clubhouse in order to facilitate operations of the facility during construction. And it originally started out as a two-phase project where initially we were just working on the parking lot, so that's a separate project. And then as you know, the city passed the clubhouse project. So now the plan for the civil plan was revised in order to submit for approval with the clubhouse integrated into the civil plan. What else would you like to know?
Well, we'll find out. Stay right there and we'll see if we got some questions for you.
Okay.
I think, Jeff, you got some questions?
I do. I don't see anywhere in the plan that show provisions for snow storage.
We can add that.
Well, I'm specifically asking because you have what looks like the area on the north side of the parking lot, which is going to drain directly into some sort of drainage swale that goes out to a treatment, and I'm concerned that's exactly where the snow is going to get plowed. So we're going to want to make sure that's a clarification that should not be plowed in that direction. The drainage swale that goes around, I was a little confused.
I guess actually backing up on the snow storage, what's the concern about having it on the north end of the parking lot?
Because in the springtime, when the snow hasn't melted and it rains, the water's just going to pond up and flood your parking lot. It's not going to function. Basically, it's the same reason along the highway we put catch basins in the low points along the curb line. Everybody always wonders why, because it's called the snow curb when it ices up in the spring and then you get a rainstorm. There's no way for the water to get through the snowbank and get off, so it floods.
Let's use it for the Nordic trails.
Use it for the Nordic trails. Jeez. Truck it out to the whole nine.
The kind of drainage treatment swale or whatever it is that goes around the west side of the driving range, does that just sort of end? Does it become like a level spreader? It's kind of hard to tell in this plan because there's
There's a level spreader that's out there. That's a treatment. So on the north side of the parking lot, immediately north, as you pointed out, there's a conveyance swale. So it collects all the runoff that's running off the north end. I want to say it's the first parking bay and first aisle of the parking lot on that north side, drains that way. And then it drains to the treatment swale to meet the treatment requirements of the, DES AOT program.
But the treatment swale does not, you're expecting all the water will be in that treatment, will never go beyond that. And the reason I ask is because the next contour sends the water right to the abutter on the plan. And as you heard
Yeah,
earlier.
I'll take a look at that and we'll address it.
The
I mean,
other-
if we gotta maybe do a little more grading, get a little more.
Yeah,
make
if there's a
that-
few more spot grades, I'm not saying it's wrong, I just want to make sure we're not gonna impact a butter
It actually
unintentionally.
doesn't, because I've gone out and looked at that. There's a little
Okay.
swale formation, but we'll make it clear that the intent is to send,
Say
the
to keep
drainage
everything
more
on
to the
property.
center of the field, if you will.
That first bay aisle is listed as 23 feet? So your
Yeah,
requirement's at
that's,
24?
you're correct. I gotta take a look at that, whether it's a typo or whether it actually needs to be extended a foot.
So, I want to understand, around the building and in that northeast corner of the parking lot, is that all going to be flush coming right out of the parking lot with some sort of paver that goes all the way around the building next to that cross-hatched area?
Okay. The cross-hatching in the parking lot or directly adjacent to the building?
Just to the right of the crosshatch, is that, whatever that surface is that flush to the parking lot?
Yes, so that's a crosshatch area for getting up to the,
No, I understand that. But right now, you have a number of ADA parking spaces. And if you're saying those people are going down the path, they can't get up a set of stairs. So how are your ADA in a wheelchair getting to the building unless from that crosshatch it's flush all the way to the
That's
building?
not the only entrance into the building. They
this
can
is
go
all
over to the right.
paved around. This is the
And
main
that's what I'm
entrance
trying to
to-
ask. So
This is
that
the main
is-
entrance to the building here.
Right, so it's flush from the parking lot, right, oop, just right that line just
Yeah,
above where you are,
that's-
right there, that's
yeah,
flush.
that's
Okay,
correct.
that's
There's
what
no
I'm asking,
curb
because it
there.
was not clear in this drawing or in the, nowhere did it say what that material was, so I was trying to make sure it wasn't grass and all of a sudden we had an issue.
No, the idea with all of it is that it's all just continuous because it's all golf carts.
Perfect, and that's why I just wanted to make sure I.
And we also internally talk, we're removing those couple steps because it doesn't work well with a golf facility, particularly with
We're
golf carts.
probably gonna continue this path across up here, because we can get the grades to work there.
Okay. Have you run fire truck turning templates through this parking lot to make sure that there's not gonna be an issue?
Yes. And we'll provide those to the city. That was requested by the staff.
Okay, apologize. There's a catch basin existing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's adjacent to Beaver Meadow Drive at the end of the catch basin 6429.
It's existing today, but you show putting up a
It's
new one in the same
It's
location.
going to be removed and replaced. We did an evaluation of all the existing utilities, both the drainage and the sewer on this site via camera inspection by Eastern Pipe Services. And it was found that that catch basin, and particularly that culvert, which is a CMP exiting, is in very poor condition.
Okay.
The
Perfect.
remainder of the culverts and the sewer line are actually in very good condition, so there's no reason to replace any of the other
Okay.
drainage pipes.
And engineering has looked at that scupper detail where they're putting in the catch basin
Yeah, we're
and
gonna,
tying it into
we're gonna
42?
revise that. One of the issues there is, there's a 42-inch drainage line running through the parking lot, so in that location where the low spot ends up being, I mean, we could put a drainage structure right there, however, it's gonna be almost directly over that pipe, which could be problematic in the future if somebody wants to replace it, or if they had to dig up that culvert for some reason. The 42-inch RCP is roughly 20 feet deep in that area. And we can, we can put an inline drain basin to tie it in, or drain manhole,
I leave it, I just want to make sure that,
We had a comment about that.
okay.
but that's roughly a $30,000 structure to install. So just, I'm not a taxpayer in Concord, but I know you all are.
It was, I think that was really the only couple questions I had. I just wanted some clarification on those items, but.
And we
thank you
can,
very much.
we'll make clarity on the plans and.
Actually, apologize for interrupting. There was one more comment. I noticed most of the details showed in the back of the plan set do not match city standards, so I'm assuming that's already been a comment.
Yes, that has been, and we'll,
Okay.
We saw the list and they'll be modified.
Okay. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, other questions from the board? No? Remember, the audience have any questions or concerns about this application?
No. You guys don't want a bigger building?
Shush.
There's an ability to make the building bigger. Yeah.
Downstream.
I do.
Okay, last
One real
chance.
quick, I
Yep.
just have a
Go ahead.
question. Or two. I noticed we show shingled roof. Is shingle cheaper than metal? Because everything else on that side is metal.
It's a combination of shingle and metal, and we're gonna be putting solar panels on the building.
And of course, I hear all the commercials on the TV. Don't they snap better on metal than on shingle?
Yes.
I'm just asking if that's a
That's an
concern. If there's
S5
any
clip,
VE to that?
but we've tried to make accommodations for budgetary reasons, and that's why.
And that's why I asked if there was any VE reason for doing metal as opposed to it. And
What was the term?
value engineering, that's what
Value
VE.
engineering.
VE.
Is this your first time you've ever heard this?
Actually, we're modifying that term now. It's called something else, but
You know,
I'll let you know what it is. I
Can't
forget
share
what
that
it
with
is.
us now?
So,
The only other question I had is, I know right now over the current patio, there's always a tent.
Yep.
Is the intention to still have some sort of tent, or was there any idea of having sort of awning off the building that could be retracted in inclement weather, like snow season?
With the building shape and the roof pitches, we're gonna utilize umbrellas out there.
Okay, that's fine.
So-
That- Sorry, that is definitely it, I promise.
Don't want to extend the driving range?
No, I
Good.
can't hit that far anyway,
Good
so it
enough.
doesn't matter.
All right, seeing no public, no public comments, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you guys for your testimony. I don't know, from a staff report, this is completely different. There's no process we need to do other than the comments that Jeff made regarding, regarding the plan sets. I think we're good to go, correct?
Thank you and good night.
Thank you. All right, thank you and good night.
I know.
Okay, let's move on. Item 10, other business in our agenda. We've got item 10A, if we could read that into the record.
Eastern Development requests a reduction in impact fees to 0 for a new duplex at unaddressed Sewell's Falls Road, identified as tax map lot 202Z21, and for a new duplex at 3 Palm Street, pursuant to section 29.2-1-2B9 of the zoning code.
Okay, let's get a staff update on this if we could.
Well, the staff update is largely what
We don't agree?
is in the background report. Of course, the authority to assess impact fees is established by New Hampshire state law. The city, in accordance with New Hampshire state law, established impact fees through the ordinance that was adopted in 2001. And currently, the city assesses transportation and recreational facilities impact fees for new residential development. As the board is aware, there are no impact fees for commercial. There are no impact fees for school. The impact fees are only for, like I said, transportation, and the fees are established in the zoning code. There is a waiver procedure for impact fees, and then there's also a procedure for requesting a reduction, and that involves submitting an independent fee calculation study. And if the applicant cannot agree with the clerk as to the acceptability of an independent fee calculation or the appropriate adjustment, then the applicant may request a hearing before the board, which the applicant has done. The clerk did not feel that the independent fee calculation study was sufficient to warrant just on the clerk's merit of reducing the impact fees to 0.
Okay. Welcome to the table. If you could state your name again for the record.
Ryan Tabor.
So tell us why you think these should be brought to 0.
That same term, value engineering. So, if you guys all know, construction costs have continued to rise since COVID. So every dollar counts on these projects. So by the time you purchase a lot, by the time you do all your permitting, any type of variance or your building plans, anything, it just adds up cost. I'm trying to build these to sell these for a reasonable price so more people can actually move into the Concord area and not move away from it. The house prices in Concord have surged. I mean, they're $800–900 million homes now. So they're not cheap, and a lot of people cannot afford that. When you factor in property taxes, your payment every month, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So a lot of people, probably a lot of people on this board, cannot afford that. I know myself, I can't. So I'm trying to figure out ways to cut cost on these particular projects. And the fact that these fees are not assigned to commercial properties, such as the Raising Cane's that's coming into Concord, or the Friendly Toast that was just built in Concord, which has a substantial impact on water and sewer, transportation, recreation, and all of the above, compared to a small duplex-style home. And you guys don't assess fees to them, but you put the burden on residential developers or residential builders. A young couple that's trying to get a home in the Concord area. They're going to build a duplex because the other side offsets the mortgage. Now you're putting more fees on top of that to possibly where they can't even obtain financing. So I'm trying to look at all avenues on this, and it just doesn't make any sense where you guys impose impact fees on transportation. The roads are already there. There's no actual further impact from 6 bedrooms, basically, when you're gonna look at potentially 2 cars per side, so 4 cars driving down an already established road, that's more than sufficient, more than maintained. Same with the sewer. You're looking at potentially 900 gallons a day based on just the septic side, you know, it's public water and sewer, but based on your bedroom size for DES standards, 150 gallons per day per bedroom. You're not talking a substantial impact. You'd look at any of the restaurants that come into town, they're gonna more than triple that on a daily basis. And they don't have to pay those fees. So why should a residential homeowner have to pay those fees?
So it's a bigger question. I mean, you make good points and certainly valid from the commercial perspective. A lot of discussion at City Council, a lot of discussion here regarding spurring commercial development. What's it take to do commercial development? I can appreciate the fact that you've got, you know, cost perspectives from the impact fees. We can't. It's a precedent-setting move for us to remove the impact fees and charge you no impact fees on this residential development. So it's unreasonable for you to come in and ask us to let you do this and expect that anybody else that's coming after you is not going to do exactly the same thing and say, I didn't expect my costs to be as high as they are because of COVID, because of the cost of development. I appreciate that, and I get it. I'm not at all inclined to allow you to approve or to allow us to approve a impact fee going to zero based on the fact that it's part of the regulations, it's part of the structure of setting this up. We've done this very specifically, not to punish people in residential development.
You impose harder restrictions on residential than commercial, because you just stated that someone's coming in to build a home, they're gonna have to pay impact fees. They're not calculating that. But a business comes in who actually impacts the systems, the recreation, the transportation, public water and sewer, tenfold, doesn't have to contribute to that. So how is that justifiable? Yes, I asked for a zero impact fee based on just simple calculations, which was submitted in this because of what was put through. I can understand maybe not zero, but what they're calculated at is far too high. And it's not that I didn't factor any of this into a construction budget. By all means, I did. But it's the fact that you have to figure out how to actually make a project feasible. You guys want housing in this city. You guys are one of the reasons the housing is skyrocketing. Look at the houses. Your 2,200 square foot house is $800,000. Why? Because all the means to get there, and they have impact fees on top of that. So I understand you can't set a precedent for zero, but there has to be some wiggle room here because it just.
Yeah, there really doesn't. I mean, that's the problem. Is it doesn't. We don't have to have wiggle room. So, Councilor Todd.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to note for Mr. Tabor that I think the points you're bringing up are very valid. And in fact, the City Council, the mayor, has just enacted at the last City Council meeting an ad hoc committee to study impact fees. In fact, I'm set to be the chair of that committee. We'll have other councilors join me as well. It'll be fun, yeah. I'm sure there will be a point where we will welcome and want input from developers, residential and commercial, and I'd certainly invite you to watch for those announcements and participate to the extent you can. But I think I agree with the chair that, you know, unfortunately right now the city has not really, looked at impact fees for some time.
Why?
So I think, as pointed out, the rates have not been changed for 10 years, I think, at least, for residential, and still no commercial aspect, as you're pointing out. So that's why we have the committee. So we're going to try to look at that and find out, is there an equitable way to do this, and kind of taking into account some of the things that you're suggesting.
I understand it hasn't been raised, but I mean, it's still imposing an unnecessary burden on homeowners, home builders, really, because it's not just me trying to make more profit. It's trying to sell a home at a reasonable price so actually young people can move into the community, because you guys are steering all of them out of this community, and that's just not right. And you guys can look however the impact fees however you want, but at the end of the day, it's a bias between commercial and residential.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any members of the audience looking to pop up. They all left. Mark, no questions? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you very much for your testimony. And as I said, I appreciate it, and I hear you, but I'm not in a position where I'm going to recommend that we reduce them at all. So
what's your reasoning for not reducing at all?
It's it doesn't need to be reduced. It's part of the structure of doing business in the city of Concord. When you're gonna build a residential unit, here's the impact fees that haven't changed in 10 years. Nothing's changed. So the fact that everything else has changed and everything else has moved up, that's fine. I appreciate it. I appreciate it pushes into the point of making houses more expensive, but impact fees shouldn't be the reason somebody's gonna not buy a house because it's a little bit more expensive.
It's not the reason they're not gonna buy a house. The reason they're not gonna buy a house is because they can't afford it in this city.
That's
why-
not an issue for us to decide
So
here.
why was I asked, why would I submit a waiver when you guys already have your mind made up?
Nobody
on
had
this?
any minds made up. You put the waiver in appropriately, it's brought forward to the table, we
I bring you
discuss it.
fact, I produce real-time
I didn't-
data, and you guys just sit there and say, oh, it doesn't matter because that's what the regulation states. How's that justifiable? The board's supposed to weigh in and not say, oh, my mind's already made up.
My mind's made up.
That's what I mean. It doesn't, I could show you factual data and you still don't care because your mind's made up. That's not actually weighing in on something. That's not actually listening to someone looking at factual data. Your mind's made up ahead of time. You're biased.
It's part of the cost of doing business when you're building a residential house.
Well
You should
aware.
know that. You're a developer. You should know
I'm well
that.
aware of that.
So why, you expect to go to the city of Manchester and not have impact fees on building a residential property? City of Nashua, city of Keene? You're gonna have impact fees everywhere, and you're gonna have them on commercial development, and you're gonna have them on commercial development. We took them off of commercial development to spur commercial development after Main Street was redeveloped, because we were looking for some growth.
There's preferential treatment,
That's not
commercial
true. I'm
development
sorry.
versus
Okay,
residential.
we've closed the public hearing. You're welcome to stay up there if you want. I'm gonna recommend that this recommendation be denied, and if anybody would like to make a recommendation to approve it, we can go through the process. Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, I've got a motion to deny the application, or the applicant's request for impact fees to go to zero. We have a second? Anybody want to second it? Nobody wants to second it?
Second the denial?
Second the denial? Is that how we want to work it?
Is that what?
Or do we have to second it and motion it?
Yeah, we need an official decision. The planning board's decision is final.
Okay, got a motion on the table? Do we have a second?
I'll second it, because until the city council really weighs in on
Until the
what
city
has to
council
happen,
weighs in, it's gonna be.
I think where our hands are tied
We
at
don't
this
have,
point.
I mean, every person that's gonna develop from here on out would be wanting to come in and say, I need to get them to zero. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? One, two oppositions, so the motion's
Oh,
denied.
wait a minute.
Three oppositions.
Like that, Teresa, Dina, and Matt.
Okay, Teresa, Dina, and Matt. So motion's been denied. Correct? Good. All right, let's move on. Next is it. Nope. Recommendation, city council, go.
Yes, provide a
10B.
recommendation to city council for the ordinance amending the court ordinances. I'm not gonna read all of that. It's basically amending the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. And it is to make us in line with the recently passed legislation by the state for accessory dwelling units by House Bill 577. It was effective July 1st. And it makes, well, it provides a maximum, it provides a new definition, it provides for attached and detached by right, and so our ordinance is, this puts us in line with that, with a few things that are not mandated by the state. Mr. Hicks?
So,
Yeah, so before we get that, yeah, so if you've read the ordinance, you've got through the language. I know Matt had a question regarding owner occupied, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go?
Yep.
So in the bill itself, Roman numeral 6 reads, a municipality may require owner occupancy of one of the dwelling units, but it shall not specify which unit the owner must occupy. And I think if I go back to the ordinance, it is letter I, where the recommendation is the owner of the property where the ADU is located shall either occupy the principal single-family detached dwelling or the ADU as a principal place of residence. I actually don't think that we should require this. I don't think there's any means of enforcement. I don't know what the reasoning is for this. I think we could extrapolate and start asking in a mobile home park, that the owner of the mobile home park be living in one of the homes, an apartment building? Do they have to live in an apartment? So I don't understand why this is being applied to, being put in this ordinance, it can be, but I don't think, I would not vote to send this forward with that in there.
Okay. Yes.
I just have a question. If the owner doesn't occupy either unit, does that make it an apartment complex? Does it need a condo association agreement because there's two units that are owned by different people? Or is it just occupied like a?
No, it's occupied. They would not be able.
Okay.
Yeah, so the only way that they could be owned by two different people would be to condominiumize that.
So.
And that is prohibited.
So it's basically saying if I currently
it's
own my
just-
house, I could throw an apartment above my garage and then move out and rent both the house and the garage
Correct.
separately is what you're saying. I kind of see your point because I don't know how the city is ever going to code enforce that.
Alex is going to do it.
Al volunteered, I heard him say it.
Planning division is not going to do it, so.
No, I mean, I see.
And why do we, I mean, again, why do we
Now,
care? At the
can
end,
I-
I mean,
can
not
I-
enforcement, but why do we, I mean, we're not in a resort town where you're gonna,
Well,
where you're gonna,
you was just going to, you
you're
were
gonna
getting
have
to my next
VRBO
point.
type things and whatnot, then it becomes a different issue.
Right.
We don't,
Are they allowed to do Airbnb at that accessory dwelling unit, or does it have to be a residence? Like,
Our zoning ordinance has nothing, nothing pertaining to short-term rentals. Now, I come from Lincoln City. Lincoln City was a tourist town, and Concord is not a tourist town by any means.
now Arts Alley,
By any
right?
means of the imagination, any stretch of the imagination. Lincoln City was a tourist town. We had short-term rentals. We had a whole ordinance on it. And our accessory dwelling unit ordinance did have the requirement, and we had a method in place to ensure that. To ensure that the owner occupy one of the residents. But it was for that reason, was so
we
that
couldn't have
everyone
just-
wasn't turning their house into a short-term rental.
So
But
I'm-
other jurisdictions in Oregon that weren't tourist towns,
again, I'm not
like
suggesting it,
Portland,
I just
yeah,
didn't know
they
if
allow
there was,
accessory
okay.
dwelling units that can be occupied by anyone.
Now, I understand it's by right, but that's only if they meet all the site plan regulations, setbacks and everything else, right? So that doesn't waive any of that sort of stuff. So I can't suddenly have somebody build right at the property line, so to speak.
New construction has to meet the setbacks. If there is an existing, and again, this is from the state legislation, if there's an existing structure, so if
Like,
the
say, my
house is
garage.
existing, or an existing barn or shed or garage or whatever that doesn't meet the setbacks,
They're exempt from having.
they're exempt from
Okay.
having to meet the setbacks. They don't need to get a variance. Again, that is state legislation.
May I ask, why using the term ADU versus a two-unit structure or two units on a structure? I had the idea with an ADU, it was to help out a family member that might need some light assistance versus wanting to turn your garage into a second unit for income purposes. Is there a difference here, or am I making that up?
It's the exact, and so let me read you the definition of accessory dwelling unit.
Please, thank you.
A residential living unit that is located on a lot containing a single-family detached dwelling that provides independent living facilities for one or more persons, including provisions for sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation on the same parcel of land as the principal dwelling unit accompanies. Accessory dwelling units may be constructed at the same time as the principal dwelling unit. That is an accessory dwelling unit. That's not, a duplex is a different definition.
You're thinking the old in-law apartments is what they used to
That's
call
what
it.
I'm thinking.
This is different.
This is different.
That's not what this is.
This is anyone can live there.
That's how
It's
it
not
started out.
restricted to a family member.
Thank you, that's what I was wondering.
So,
Amanda?
I have to appreciate that you listened in some of our sessions about section 3, letter J, about therefore the minimum floor area required for an ADU, the maximum floor area of an ADU shall be no more than 950 square feet. However, the maximum floor area of an ADU may be increased so that it's either up to 50% of the floor area of the principal single-family detached dwelling, or 1,250 square, whichever is less. Because I made the comment that we didn't want to have equal size dwellings on the same, so we didn't want both of them to be 1,250 feet, but that you provided the language that kind of met a little bit of both, but not to exceed, and so I really appreciate that, because we didn't want to have two houses on the same lot that were exactly the same square footage, you
And
know?
then somebody comes back later and subdivides them and says, oh, hey, look, there's two lots on this house, I want to separate them.
So I know that there was some discussion about that, because remember, because originally it did say 1,200 square feet, and I was like, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
What if the primary house is 1,500 square feet, then it just looks like two houses on the same lot. But anyways, I see where you went with that, and that was good.
I understand I was joking a little bit, but once these are built as ADUs, they can't be subdivided into a separate house lot, can they?
Because they're attached.
Well,
No,
No,
it
they're
says
not
this is
attached.
detached.
They're detached.
If they're so they can't be condominiumized, that it's prohibited. So,
Is that by statute,
Yes.
Right.
the prohibition against turning into a condominium?
right, condominium subdivisions in which the ADU is a separate condominium unit from the single-family detached dwelling are expressly prohibited.
That's creating a condo. What if I want to subdivide it off as a totally separate lot
If they're
later?
detached and they want to do that,
Setbacks.
they'd have to meet all the requirements for the lot.
And-
So
and
they
the
would have to
driveway.
get
I just want to make sure someone's not going to come in as an
Yeah.
ADU because
get-
it's by right, and then
Well,
3 years
yeah.
later come in and try and subdivide it, and you'd say, well, it's been existing, and you allow it, and
But they
Well-
could, I mean, if you have a 10-acre, if you have a large lot.
They could.
And you have it
Make your
far enough
barn.
away
If
from
it,
the
if
house
it
to be
met
able
all the
to meet setbacks
requirements,
and
you know,
everything,
lot
they could
size, access,
Right.
setbacks, coverage. Yeah.
Separate utility,
Driveway.
everything.
okay, I want to make sure we're not setting ourselves up where people are going to zoning later and getting variances to do these substandard type.
And it doesn't really matter, because the state's already said that you have to do it.
We have to do it, but we don't necessarily have to allow the subdivision later. We have to accept ADUs. I agree.
No.
I'm fine with that.
But what I'm saying
Why wouldn't
is,
you want it?
the subdivision wouldn't be able to be approved unless they met all of the lot dimension requirements for the lot, which means they would have to go get a variance.
Exactly. That's what I want to see what the protection is for us, that, oh, this building was allowed to be put on this lot by right, and so why can't I now subdivide? That's all I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah,
What are the,
so
I
they
think I
had-
can add some light to this, because there's an old case, it's Rye versus Rye, that basically says if you can legally use more than one unit, then you can make it into a condominium. What I understand from Anne Marie, she said that there's an express prohibition about subdividing or converting it to a condominium, as I understand it, within the statute, so we wouldn't be in that situation.
I don't think she said subdivide. I think it was only.
It's a condominium subdivision,
Correct.
yeah.
But that's not create two separate entire lots that have separate ownership now. They're
Sale.
not
Well,
anonymized.
Again, it goes back to, you can't subdivide unless you meet all of the
Okay,
lot size
and that's all I'm asking is, that
Yeah,
is the
and they
protection
wouldn't.
for us, is
That
that
is the
this isn't
protection.
somehow by right excluding that future protection. That's all. I get the idea of the 10-acre lot, that my house is way over here, and I take an old barn and I make it a separate unit over there, and eventually if there's room, yes, you could separate. I'm thinking these 1-acre, lots that everything's jammed in there, and somebody suddenly builds it. I know, you're giving me the look like,
Have you ever been to San Francisco?
I'm not San Francisco, I'm not Boston, I'm not Somerville, I'm not down in Florida, this is Concord, so I'm asking the question. I don't care what the rest of the
And
company
that
does.
is the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions?
point out-
Counselor, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just want to point out that this is an effort to increase housing in the city of Concord, contrary to what we just heard.
Is it,
I don't care if it's the state forcing us to do it, we're increasing the possibility of housing in Concord. So this is a good thing.
impact fees gonna be assigned? Oh, sorry. Counselor Todd, I had you first.
Thank you. I just had a question about the, removing the architectural design review requirement.
I was just looking at
Speak
that.
to that.
And the sign piece of it. I was wondering why it would need a sign. Sign permit applications were required.
Because you cannot have any requirements for an accessory dwelling unit that are not required on a house. And design review is not required for a house.
Oh, that's right. Residential. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I just wanted to
Good
clarify
question.
that, so, yeah, thank you.
I don't like my neighbor's addition. Too bad.
I don't like the way you did that. Unless you put the garage in front of the house, then you can't do that. Remember that discussion? David, what do you got?
A real quick thing on impact fees. Because I'm on town sewer and water, does that new restaurant pay a greater rate?
You're on the wrong topic. We're on the ADU topic now.
Well, we were talking a little bit.
But John didn't have that
It's just getting caught up.
He lost his connection.
He lost his connection.
I didn't get anything after 9B on my agenda. So everything I had to.
Had to piggyback over Brett's shoulder. All right, any other questions regarding the ordinance? The ordinance? Somebody else had some, no? Okay, so recommendation from Matt to strike I. Any discussion regarding that? We all in favor of that? All right, what do you need from us, Anne Marie?
I guess just
Just
a motion and a second to.
Motion and a second to send it upstream?
Recommend to city council as written with striking I.
So I'll make that motion to recommend this city council for approval, striking I.
Second.
Motion's and a second. Any discussion? Any other points or issues? Nothing? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Look at that. Anything else that comes before the board? Anybody else got anything? We'll hit you up on the impact fees later, David. All right, if not, I will accept the motion to adjourn if someone wants to make that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We are adjourned.